Good evening, everybody. You guys have had a fantastic day. We are gonna jump into a couple of predictions for today and for this evening, mainly in the Europa League and the Conference League as well. Alright. Let's just wait for a couple of other guys to join and then we'll get started. Alright, okay, so let's jump into a couple of the Europa League games this evening. Let's jump through a few of them. If you guys have any requests, drop them in the comments and we'll go through them. Right, so let's start maybe with the Europa League. There's a couple of games on this evening kicking off around about 9 o'clock. Yeah, let's go through them. Right, so first up, we've got Eintracht versus Barcelona, kicking off now at 9 PM. We did post a video earlier, just in case you guys did miss it. Let's run through it quickly now. Right, so in terms of the match outcomes, we do have an 85% chance of a Barca win, which makes sense, followed by 10% of a draw, but I do feel like Barca should have enough for Eintracht in this game. Looking at the score lines, a 3-0 is most likely, followed by a 2-0, and then followed by a 4-0, all in favor of Barca. So we can expect a little bit of a clean sweep from Barca here would be the suggestion. And with a 92% chance over 1.5 goals, you know, for this game I've literally gone in with a Barca win and total match goals over 1.5. Like I always say, if we're expecting one team to score all the goals, as we can see over here, it becomes quite a shoo-in to be over 1.5. Ignore the over 2.5. It's quite a high risk where you're expecting one team to score at least 3 goals in the game. Okay, having a look at the goals itself, so we can see here that Eintracht, not very prolific in front of goals, only scoring on average 1.29, which is under the tournament average of 0.24, and they are conceding less than the tournament average at 1.24. However, when it comes to this, we can see Eintracht are quite defensively sound at home, but not really offering much in attack. And if we scoot over to Barca side, we can see 2.24 on average away goals scored by Barca and only conceding on average 1 goal. Now, with coupled with Eintracht's lack of offensive effort and coupled that with Barcelona's defensive efforts, I can't see Eintracht scoring here. So I do feel like the both teams to score is a very high risk. So that's why I will be sticking with a Barca win and total match goals over 1.5. Right, so I hope that one does help. How's it, guys? Welcome to the stream. Just make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We are moving all of our lives off of TikTok onto YouTube, just because the presentation is so much better and so much easier to talk through, and you guys can actually join in as well. Right. Let's jump into, okay, this game kicked off earlier, so let's have a look at the Braga versus Rangers game. I know we did do the videos for these ones earlier, but just thought, you know, we can run through a couple of the games, and if you guys do want any others, just make sure you drop it in the comments and we will run through those games tonight. Okay, so at the Braga versus Rangers game, this game is kicking off at 9 PM. Right, as we did say in the video earlier, there is a bit of split odds across this game, but we are expecting a slight in favor of Rangers. But if we do have a look at the probability percentages over here, it is very, very tight, and you probably won't find much difference in the bookie odds either. Right, looking at the score lines, we do expect a 1-1 here, and then followed by two score lines of a 2-1 and a 1-0, both in favor of Rangers. Okay, but 1-1 being the most likely here. In terms of the outcomes, 79% chance of over 1.5 goals. It's not too bad. And if we do take a look at the statistics over here, we can see that Braga do have ever so slightly above the league average, coming in with 1.65 average goals scored and only 0.92 goals conceded. So pretty decent at home. Very good defensively, very, very good defensively, and offensively pretty average, but still pretty decent for them to be above average. Okay, if we do have a look at Rangers, we can see that Rangers have a little bit more prolificity in front of goals away from home, scoring on average 1.82. However, defensively they're not as strong as the likes of Braga, conceding 1.11 goals a game. So this is where you can actually see how the algorithm is starting to formulate and kick out goal stats. We can actually understand now why there would be a 1-1 as most likely. Both teams almost in and around that 1 goal a game, and both teams scoring just over 1.5. So we've got two very good, very well balanced teams over here going up against each other. The other option that you do have is, if we do have a look at the defensive rank metrics, we can see that Braga are far more the aggressive team in terms of their tackles. So if you did want to go in the cards market, you could look at Braga receiving more cards than the likes of Rangers. Alright, so I hope that does help. Let's have a quick look at what is next. We can run through the West Ham game, because this is also kicking off at 9 PM. Alright, so looking at the outcomes, again, we do have split odds across the board here. However, ever so slight favor for Olympique Lyonnais. Alright, in terms of the score lines, we do have a 1-1 as most likely, followed by a very, very close percentage-wise 2-1 in favor of Lyon, or a 2-1 in favor of West Ham. Okay, now as soon as I see all three score lines looking like both teams are going to score, that's usually where I like to look. Alright, and in terms of this, we do have an over 1.5 at 83, not the greatest, and both teams to score at 64, again, not the greatest. Okay, glancing down at the goal stats, 1.83 average goals for West Ham here, right, and conceding 1.14. So very good in terms of how this league plays out, or this tournament plays out, should we say. In terms of being better than the average goal scored and better defensively. So it's obviously a team that is better than the general average going on here. The same thing we can see for Lyon away from home, scoring 1.62 and conceding 1.1. So I mean, these are two very, very similar teams when it comes to statistics. Right, having a look down here, there is a little bit of value in terms of the cards market. We can see that Lyon are far the aggressor when it comes to receiving cards for the tackles. So if anything, there is a possibility on this match to go with a Lyon receiving more cards than West Ham. I cannot see too much value anywhere else. There's an over 1.5, but I doubt the odds would be very decent. So if I was to go with anything on this game, I would be focusing in on the cards market. Alright, okay, let's maybe jump into a couple of the is there Conference League games tonight, I think. Okay, yes there is. Alright, we've obviously gone over a couple of these games in the videos earlier on. This is a team you must not sleep on. Bodo Glimt is really good team. They're pretty unknown, so you would notice that the odds probably are far in favor of Roma here. However, just taking into account Bodo scoring on average 2.43 goals a game and only conceding 0.86. This is a top team. Alright, and with Roma, they're a little bit more, you know, on the bang average side. Yes, ever so slightly than the average, and ever so slightly less than the concede average, but there's quite a big disparity between the two teams based off of this. Alright, and then another option that you can have a look at for this game is again the cards market. Have a look at Roma to receive more cards than Bodo Glimt in this game. Right, so don't sleep on this team. They're a really top team. Okay, let's have a look at. I just want to go through, see which games need to still play. Okay, now this was a little bit of an interesting one for me, in terms of the outcomes that we saw the algorithm spat out. In terms of the Marseille versus PAOK game, we do have a 55% chance actually in favor of the away team, PAOK. Now the one thing that you need to take into account is how these teams fit into their leagues. Okay, yes, the French league is not exactly prolific, let's be real. Yes, PSG's there, yes, Lyon is there, but it's not a very competitive league. There is huge disparities, and neither is the Greek league either. So we've got two leagues here that are I want to use the word subpar or substandard, because not every weekend is competitive for these guys. So what we are seeing here is a result of that. Okay, what we can see is PAOK's defense is really good, only conceding 0.82 goals and ever so slightly below the average in terms of goals scored. If we do go and check the scores itself, as you can see, we are expecting quite little goals. 1-1 is most likely, followed by a 1-0 in favor of PAOK. So I think if Marseille had to score early this game, Marseille most likely, you know, go ahead and win the game. I don't think PAOK would have it in them to be able to come back, but I think if PAOK had to score first, there might be an option for in-game checks with the odds, because you might be able to find both teams to score as no, because PAOK is going to defend that league with their lives, and we can see that they can defend very well. So maybe just keep an eye on this game for in-game options. Both teams to score no. If there's maybe an early goal from PAOK, maybe go with an under 2.5. You know, you might get really decent odds on those sorts of options. Okay, the other option that we do have on this game is Marseille receiving a whole host more corners than the likes of PAOK. PAOK are obviously a little bit more on the defensive-minded side of things, whereas Marseille we can see is slightly more attacking. So I would expect Marseille to receive more corners in this game. Right, so there's some nice options on this one. A little bit risky, some of them, but I do believe that this could be a really decent game for some in-game choices. Alright, let's see what other leagues are on today. Is there anything playing tonight? Let's check USA. I don't know what time these are, sometimes afternoon or early hours of the morning. Okay, so this actually played, let's check this one. This one's actually kicking off tomorrow morning at 1 AM. Alright, it comes out of USA. There's some US Open Cup. I don't know too much about the US side of things, but basically just having a quick look over here, we do have this little bit split in terms of a away win and a draw. I don't think there's too much value in this game, to be very honest. I'm actually going to skip this one. I can't see too much value. And I personally avoid all games that have little to no value in them. Would you guys like me to check any games for tomorrow? We obviously will be going live tomorrow for our longer stream, where we do the the weekend's games, etc. So if you guys would like any games, just drop them in the comments there, and I will quickly go through some of them. Let me just scout for a couple more games over here. Anything in Finland? This game was earlier. And don't forget, guys, this the web app over here, if you just go to predict-heroes.com, the link is in the description as well. If you guys just pop over there, you will be able to do everything that we are busy doing right here. Alright, I'm just quickly scrolling through some of the South American games. Most of them would have played early hours of this morning. Let's maybe have a look at this one. This game's kicking off at just after midnight, South African time, GMT +2. It is Guiba versus Mulga, and this comes out of this. It's probably not Libertadores. It must be Sudamericana. Okay, so it's from the CONMEBOL Sudamericana, Guiba versus Mulga. Right, we do have this slightly in favor of away team, 66%, followed by 20% draw. Right, let's go and have a look at the scorelines. A 2-0 as most likely, followed actually very closely by a 1-0, followed by a 2-1. All of the goals are in favor of the away team. Looking at the outcomes, 79% chance over 1.5 goals. Right, having a look a little bit further down, I think this is where the option for this market would come in. The corners ratings, we would most likely be going with the away team Mulga to receive more corners in this game. This is where the value would be sitting in this. Just having a look at these two teams, both of them are not exactly prolific. We can't exactly see many goals going on here, and defensively it's a little bit up in the air as well. We can see that the home team is pretty okay defensively, but they've got no teeth in attack, so there's no point in going with any goal options on this game, but potentially focusing on the corners market. There's usually decent odds on this market. Okay, let's have a quick look here. Just having a look through the requests. Stuttgart versus Dortmund. Let's quickly have a dive into Stuttgart versus Dortmund. I'm assuming that game is maybe tomorrow or this weekend. Let's just go and just navigate to it. We going to Germany. I'm assuming it's Bundesliga, no cups. Let's just quickly see here. Stuttgart versus Dortmund. Right, so this game is kicking off tomorrow evening at 8:30. Right, this is looking like a really good one. Okay, so in terms of the match outcomes, 68% chance in favor of Dortmund. Looking at the score lines, a 2-1 is most likely, followed exceptionally closely by a 3-1, followed by a 4-1. Right, all of those scores in favor of the away team. And in terms of the outcomes, we do have an 81% chance of over 2.5 goals and a 70% chance of both teams to score as yes. Alright, and just having a quick glance down at the goals scored and conceded, we can see that both teams are not exactly fantastic defensively, conceding 1.79 and conceding 1.52 goals a game. Not the greatest defensively, and both of them are pretty decent with putting the ball away. Average of 2 goals a game for Dortmund and 1.67 for Stuttgart. So I'm really liking the over 2.5 market and potentially the both teams to score market. What I will do is I will need to go and just check what is happening, how far the Bundesliga is. Is there anything that Dortmund need to do? Do they need a shutout? Do they just need to pump in goals? I'll take those sorts of things into account before making my call on the both teams to score. But I do like this 81% chance of over 2.5 and a 70% chance of both teams to score. That looks like a really good one. Okay. Let's have a quick look here. Leafering versus Wacker. Right, and Southampton versus Chelsea, and then Sharon is asking for the Roma game. Right, we have gone over the Roma game, but I'll quickly touch on it again for you, no problems. Let's have a quick look at Southampton versus Chelsea. Alright, head on over to England. Premier League. Southampton versus Chelsea. Alright, so this game is on Saturday at 4 PM. Alright, and in terms of the match outcomes, 76% chance in favour of Chelsea. Looking at the scores, a 2-0, followed by a 1-0, followed by a 3-0. All of these are obviously in favour of Chelsea. Right, and in terms of the outcomes, 80% chance of over 1.5 goals. Alright, now Chelsea need a win. Let's just be real now. They need a win. Losing over the weekend to Watford and then Benzema pummeling them again last night. I cannot see Chelsea losing another game. There's no ways they can allow that to happen. So I personally can see this coming through as a Chelsea win, and I would probably go with Chelsea win coupled with total match goals over 1.5. That would be my feeling about it. Some guys might see it differently, and like I always say, the stats are there as support, but trust your gut when it comes to an instinct like this. My gut is telling me that Chelsea cannot lose another game. Your gut might be telling you, hey, you know what, Chelsea's not looking good. Their strikers are not firing. They've got something ridiculous like 200 million pounds worth of strikers sitting on the bench in Werner and Lukaku. You know what, I don't feel like Chelsea are going to take this and then avoid the game. There's no harm in avoiding a game. Rather avoid a game than lose your money putting on something that you are not 100% sure about. Okay. Alright. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a quick look. This Leafering game, I'm not sure what league these guys are in. I don't know if it's Mulga. I don't know if you just want to do me a favor and just type in the chat there the league for, or the country for Leafering. I think they Austria or Romania or something like that. I might be wrong. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, they are in Austria. Alright, so this game is kicking off tomorrow evening at 6:30. Alright, so in terms of the outcomes, we do have this split across the board. Not much in this. 39% chance of a home win and 37% chance of an away win. Alright, in terms of the most likely goal lines, we do have a 1-1, followed by a 2-1 in favour of the home team, followed by a 2-1 in favour of the away team. Right, and in terms of the outcomes, 82% chance of over 1.5 goals and a 62% chance of both teams to score as yes. Right, let's just quickly dive into these goal outcomes so we can understand this. Just looking and glancing across all four of these over here, we can see that these are two really decent teams. I'm assuming they both maybe top, I don't know, 5-6 teams. I don't really know too much about the Austrian league, but they're obviously really decent teams. Average goals from the home team 2.12 and conceding just over 1. Right, but then we look at the away team scoring 1.71 goals and conceding 1.18. And if you see these little green okies just underneath each of these, we can see that these are really decent teams in terms of the league. Right, so this is going to be a very tight game, and that is why we are seeing, in terms of the statistics, very close and very tight-knit results over here, and we can't see a clear winner from this perspective. In terms of the goal outcomes, again, it's a little bit tricky because of the defensive record from both teams. If maybe these were up about like 1.3, 1.4, both of them, then we would start to see these being increased. But because they are so decent defensively, it's almost a bit of a risk. The one option that does kind of stand out to me is potentially the both teams to score as yes. Alright, so there's not too much in this game. I think you'd probably find decent odds on this game, but for me it would be very high risk because I can't tell you which way this should be leaning because it's very in the balance here. Alright, and then let's quickly touch on the Roma game for Shiran, and then I think we're going to call it a night, and then we'll be back tomorrow. But let's quickly run through the Roma game. Just navigate through here quickly. Europe. And we've got Bodo, Glimt, Roma. Alright, so I'm going to run through this a little bit quickly. So in terms of the outcomes, we are backing the home team with a 64%. Now generally, if you guys want to know how I make use of the site, is I like to look for any outcomes that are sort of in the 80% and above. If I see a 64% over here, the risk factor that comes with this game over here does not, I don't personally feel like I want to back this unless there's something with the odds that really makes me, you know, double check. Right, in terms of the scores, we do have a 3-1 as most likely, followed by a 2-1, followed by a 3-2, all in favor of Bodo Glimt. Right, but here is where the true value of this game lies. Over 2.5, 86%. Both teams to score, 77%. Now if you had to couple an over 2.5 and a both teams to score, I don't know what the odds are off the top of my head, but I can imagine they would be pretty good, maybe around about 2.3, 2.4, and depending on who you go with, maybe it could even be that much higher. Right, and just to quickly give you an idea of why most people don't know Bodo Glimt, and as soon as they start to see, hey, we've got a big team name in terms of Roma up against a team that's not so well known, Bodo Glimt are a demon team. This team hasn't lost a game. I must go and check the stats again, but they haven't lost a game in something like 32 or something along those lines in terms of games. It's ridiculous. Really decent. So the one thing that you do need to take into account when you're having a look at cup competitions that make use of cross-league pollination. So what I mean by that is, you know, here we've got a Serie A versus, you know, an alternative league, or maybe you've got a Premier League versus the French league or whatever. Always take those things into account, because historical stats are also based off of a team's current run happening in their domestic league. Alright, so generally form is extremely important in football. So if you are feeling like, listen, I need to give a little bit of a better weighting to Roma because maybe the Serie A league is far stronger, and therefore, you know, the fact that Bodo is packing away crazy goals is just down to their league being bad, you know, take that into account. Research it, just check it. But I can tell you right now that this team is no team to laugh about. They're a really decent team. Okay, so in terms of this, I would hinge on going with the over 2.5 goals and both teams to score as yes. Alright. Okay, I see there's one more quick request. Cagliari versus Juventus. It's Mulga. Not a problem. Thank you for the requests. It's what we do this for. Let me quickly do that for you, and then we will call it a night, and then obviously we will be back tomorrow for our general long stream that we do every Friday. Let's quickly just take this off. We want to go to Italy. Right, don't forget guys, please smash a like on the video. It really does just help the channel grow, and because we're making the move over to YouTube with our lives, it's obviously going to be a bit quiet in the beginning, so we'd love to get that interaction that we usually have on the TikTok lives going. So if you guys could just smash the little like button over there, I'd really appreciate it. Right, so Cagliari versus Juve. Let's have a quick look at this one. Right, heavily in favor. This game's kicking off on Saturday, 9:15 South African time, GMT +2. Right, in terms of away win, we do have an 85% chance in favor of Juve. Right, in terms of score lines, a 2-0 followed by a 3-0 followed by a 1-0, all of them in favor of Juve. In terms of the outcomes, an 80% chance of over 1.5 goals. Alright, and just having a quick glance down the bottom here, what do we see? We see a home team who is worse than the league average in terms of their attack and their defense. So in terms of their style of play, they're not very good either in attack or defense. Whereas we've got Juve, who are very good in attack and defense. So this is just one of those games that's heavily in favor of Juve. So if the odds were good, I would most likely, and I'll obviously check them closer to the game, I would definitely be going with a Juventus win. And total match goals over 1.5 for this game, expecting it probably to come in between the 2 and the 3-0. Right, so I hope that helps. Juve Cagliari away win. Total match goals over 1.5. Alright guys, I think that is going to be us for the evening. Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate it. Have a good one. Cheers.
Hold my head up high. Now I know I can't take it anymore. 'Cause I'm feeling that I'm lost inside, trying to get over you. Over